In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to take out your old thermostat and housing and put it back in this Nissan Altima. It's located on the front of the engine. We're going to start by taking down this plastic shield by pulling out these plastic fasteners. It's usually a little space where you can stick your screwdriver. Just work the center out. All right, so now the next step is going to be to loosen up your petcock and drain the coolant. You can just take it right out if that's easier and more efficient. All right, now that that's drained, I'm going to put back the petcock. So the next thing you're going to do is find your thermostat housing and the two bolts holding it to the engine. So there's one up there and there's one on the bottom. Now I'm going to use a 12mm socket and crack them loose. If you find it difficult to crack it loose, you can try using a pole to extend the ratchet for some persuasion. That worked nicely. Just make sure you have a drain bucket below you and you can finish taking out the bolt. Put your bolts off to the side. You're going to bring it down. I'm going to now inspect the hose. I'm replacing the housing due to pitting, and that's usually when you see this corrosion happen from leakage. All right, so now I'm going to take the thermostat housing out of the hose. You can use a pair of pliers. Twist the housing out. May take a lot to... After I crack it loose, I like to get some locking pliers on there. So I have my hands free if it's stubborn and doesn't want to come off. All right, so now's a good time to look at your hose. If it looks fine, just clean it up. You don't want to see any cracks or expansion or brittleness on your hose, and then it's a good time to look at your hose clamp as well. Make sure it's keeping the tension on the hose so the antifreeze doesn't leak out. Okay, at this point, I'm going to take out our thermostat so that we can replace it. There's no point in replacing a thermostat housing and not replace the thermostat with it. So you're going to wiggle this back and forth a little bit. Just be careful before you yank out the thermostat because there will be antifreeze behind it that will come out. So you want to make sure you don't pull it out completely. You want to crack it loose, let the fluid out, and then once it's done draining, then you can take out the thermostat. All right. Okay, at this point, we are going to remove the seal because we're going to get a new one with the new thermostat. All right, and then once you get that seal out, you are going to want to take a rag and clean up the surface as well as inside where the seal lives. I'm now going to place a rag inside so that the debris does not end up inside the housing. And I'm going to clean around the aluminum housing with a plastic scraper. I do not recommend using a metal one, as you might gouge the surface. You don't want to do that. So when installing, make sure there's a thing that shakes up here. It's like a little jiggler. Make sure that's up in the housing. So that's how you know you've installed it correctly. So you're going to put it up, facing up. Now that my housing is all clean, should just go right in. All right, so I'm going to put my hose clamp back on the hose after I've cleaned it up. It seems to have plenty of spring left in it. And I'm going to slide my housing on. So I have the thermostat housing inside the hose. I have the hose clamp down here. I like to try to position the thermostat housing correctly in the hose while it's up there, and then bring it back down, then put the hose clamp on, and then bring it back up and put the bolts in. Make your life much easier. So let's try it. We're almost there. Spin it a little bit more. That looks like it lines up perfect, so I'm going to bring it back down now. And I'm going to tighten the hose clamp where it's positioned. Make sure the clamp is not too far down and not off of the hose. All right, so now that I put the hose clamp on and the thermostat housing in the right position, I'm going to bring it up, and it should be easy to find our bolt holes. I'm going to get one started first. I'm just going to start the bolts hand tight. You can push up on the hose if you need to, or wiggle the hose around a little bit as you're trying to find bolt holes. Okay, I have both of mine started. And snug them up. All right, so now that we have the housing and bolts in, we are going to torque this to 16 foot-pounds. Okay, 16 foot-pounds. You're going to want to wipe down any antifreeze you see, coolant you see, because you don't want it to smell like antifreeze when it starts running, and you don't want to think there's something leaking when it isn't. Now we're going to be putting this plastic shield back up. So you're just going to put the clips in. We have new ones since our other ones were breaking. It happens after a while. Plastic gets brittle. All right, now that everything is back together, we need to refill our antifreeze coolant. So now we're going to fill the vehicle with coolant, 50-50. Mix. You're going to notice air bubbles coming out as you fill it. You're going to want to keep pouring it in there until the level goes down and there's no more air bubbles. So once you see that your coolant is not going down anymore, you're going to want to start the vehicle. You're going to want to put the heat on, and you want to run the vehicle. Once the thermostat opens up, once the vehicle gets hot enough, the thermostat will open up, and all the coolant will then go into the system, and then you're going to want to top it off. Then you can take this funnel off and replace it with the radiator cap, tighten it down, take a deep breath, because this job is done.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.